It's kind of cool, but I'm not doing the thing that makes it bad. But here's the thing. You're already in a rebellious, kind of forbidden environment. Most people don't go into that environment and go, now, how do I make good decisions? What's the right thing to do here? Because is that typically going to be rewarded or punished socially? Punished. Most people don't gravitate towards punishment. How badly will this go? Yes. Right? That's not how we think. So we have to be honest about the environments that we choose. Now, this all can be really good. But the point is, you got to think about it ahead of time. Got to think about it ahead of time. Freaks and Geeks. I love Freaks and Geeks. Maybe my greatest legacy at Bellevue Christian is that I brought Freaks and Geeks to Bellevue Christian. So I'll drop the remote, walk away. So if you're unfamiliar with the show, it's set in 1980, just revolves around some teenagers, their friends, their families, and it just kind of goes through 18 episodes of life with them. It launched the careers of lots of actors. The main character of the story is Lindsay here. And Lindsay is this conflicted character who, smart girl, a lot of abilities, some good aspirations, but she feels like life is just kind of meh. Problem is, her group of friends here on the left aren't going anywhere. They lack aspirations. They lack good decision making. But they are the inner ring that she wants to be a part of. So in other words, when she's with them, they establish the environments, they establish the expectations, they determine the rewards and punishments, and she is setting a precedent for how they treat her in the future. So I had a realization going back to my friend Dave. I had to realize when I am with Dave, I'm a sheep. What do sheep do? They live a very simple life and they just follow. Most of the time in my life, I was more of a shepherd. I was a leader, whether that be at school, whether that be in youth group, other groups of friends. But man, when I was around Dave, I went from shepherd to sheep in 2 seconds. And I had to be honest about that. I had to be honest about how does this happen to me? Because I don't like who I am when I'm with him. I don't like what I do. I don't like the fact that I have to lie to my parents every single time I've been with him. I just had to thought, the problem is me. I've got to get out of this situation. So the question is, how does this happen? So this clip I'm about to show you is 2 minutes and 43 seconds long. At 1:26, you will watch Lindsay go from a shepherd to a sheep, and I want you to see why it happens. Keep in mind environments, expectations, rewards and punishment, and then we'll talk about precedent.
No, what you gotta do is look for something in the store that's expensive but looks really cheap. And then you switch price tags with something that is really cheap. Then you gotta put the original back on it and return it for store credit. That's how I got this jacket. $10 this thing cost me.
Oh, it's beautiful. Clearly worth all the effort.
My dad caught a shoplifter once, and he had to lock him in the store, and then the cops came. Well, my dad says shoplifters cost him a fortune.
Hey, if I owned a store, I caught some little kid shoplifting, I just take him out back, and I deal with it.
Oh, would you, Mr. Tough Man?
Yeah, I would, Mrs. Tough Man.
Oh, like that time when John Ergner kicked like that?
Do you mind flapping your lips somewhere else? You smell.
Hey, what, did you guys break up or something?
No, we didn't break up. I dumped his loose.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay, if it makes you feel better.
Hey, do you guys want to? Hey, does anybody want to come see The Wall with me on Saturday night? Thought I might try an experiment. See it straight once. I don't know.
Don't do it. You'll regret it, man. Trust me.
Well, I would, but my parents are going out of town, and I have to watch my little brother.
Maybe we could all hang out at your house.
Kegger.
You mean like a party?
Yeah, right. Lindsay's too lame to let anyone enter her precious little house.
Sure. Why not? I mean, I like parties.
Great. Who's the too lame one?
Up yours.
Bye. Okay, guys. $10 each for the cake. Come on, you too.
No, Lindsay, please. House drinks free.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Lindsay.
Why does she hang out with those guys?
I don't know. Why don't you go over there and ask her?
They're gonna ruin her life. If you don't care about high school, then you won't get into a good college, and no future, and you'll wind up dead or in jail.
Really?
You asleep during Scared Straight?
All right. So we're gonna unpack why Lindsay went from shepherd to sheep in less than 90 seconds. But a couple of scriptures here. One of the things that we tend to do, we've talked about this with technologies, we tend to overestimate our abilities. We're a little too self-confident. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. That's applicable to everybody. Nobody's bulletproof. That's why this is so important. Can a man scoop fire into his lap without his clothes being burned? Can a man walk on hot coals without his feet being scorched? No. I say, you play with fire, you're going to get burned. And then Proverbs 13:20, right? He who walks with the wise becomes wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm. You become like who you hang out with. Why? Because that determines your environment's expectations, awards, and punishment, and precedent. If you watch the rest of the Freaks and Geeks episode, every so often they return back to a scenario where Lindsay's friends are putting pressure on her and she caves every single time. Because they know how to play her. They know where she's vulnerable and they take advantage of that. And she shows them, if you press in hard enough, I'll cave. That's the basis of their friendship. So let's, as we land the plane here, so what do we do? And this is where you've got to start thinking hard. You have to evaluate your influences. You have to start but get real and go, I am easily influenced. Now that could be for good or for bad, but we have to be honest about that. And which friends and environments most affect your thinking? Again, this could be good or this could be bad. But you have to understand they're not neutral. You have to understand you act in certain ways depending on who you're with and what you are doing, or where you're doing it, when you're doing it. So this is the first thing I want you to think about this week as we move forward. Which friends influence you? I had other friends, so I told you about Dave, where I just went, you know what? I can't be with Dave in certain circumstances. Because when I do, I just fall in line. Now, on the flip side, my oldest daughter, Anna, is in a relationships class at Central Washington University. And so she had to interview her mother and me the other day via Skype. And so the question was, they were all marriage-related questions. It says, what is it that drew you to your partner, your spouse? And what it was for me, Jenny and I have been married 22 years. The one consistency all the way through is I like who I am when I'm with her. So in college, when I was with her, I elevated my game. I wanted to be a better guy. I wanted to be a better guy in terms of my attitudes, my actions, my words, but it was not to win her over. That's the key. All right? I'm not sophisticated enough to be charming and manipulative. I just kind of am who I am. Because I liked her for 2.5 years before we started dating, because she was real mature and I was kind of a meatball, so it took me a little while to catch up. But what got me out of meatball status was a lot of hanging out with her. She elevated my thinking. And all these years later, she still is. That is still the thing that I come back to. I like who I am as a man when I am around her. So this can go either way. But you've got to evaluate your influences. Second one. What part of my being is driving my decisions right now? Here's what I mean. There are 5 components to every person. This is part of being a whole person, a complete person. So in the scene that I just showed you about Lindsay, here's where things went wrong. If you were to ask her on an intellectual level, Lindsay, your friends who make bad choices and have shady friends would like to come over to your house and have a huge kegger when your parents aren't here, and your parents will absolutely say no, and you will get in huge trouble afterwards when they find out, not if. Should you do this or not? What will she say? No. And not even hesitate. She's like, there's no way that ends well. But yet, in a minute 26, she went from being like, I'm good, to, I like parties. So how did that happen? Because she got emotional. Who is she trying to impress? Daniel. Kind of got a thing for Daniel, James Franco. Who does she not like? Kim. Kim's the queen bee, the mean girl. So Kim sets her up. There's no way Lindsay will let people come over to her perfect little house. And then she looks at Daniel. What does Daniel do? Come on. And then all of a sudden she likes parties and has no idea what she's getting into. And here's the other thing. Unwritten rules. Lindsay, house drinks free. See? Unwritten rule of the inner ring. Here's another one. Physical. When you're really, really hungry, do you tend to eat healthy or unhealthy? Right? Nobody's starving and go, man, celery. Kale chips, anybody, all right? Now, maybe that's you, and if so, I need to hang out with you more, all right? Well, we get really hungry, we tend to go junk food, and we're all in, and we don't even care. Mike, can I get you a bowl of ice cream? Keep the bowl. Just give me the spoon, right? Right? But here's another thing. This is why when I taught relationships, why I didn't have real in-depth discussions about sexuality, right? A, because it's kind of weird, right? But two, because people know, again, what's the right answer? Man, but you're with your boyfriend or girlfriend in the privacy of anywhere? Or you're just with somebody and kind of hanging out, and you sense and they sense there's a little something going on? Do you tend to go, hold on, Olson gave me some notes on this. Let me pull those out real quick. Of course you do. No, right? No. What you tend to do is you go into like, baby, I love you, right? We're going to be together forever, right? And then you have your whatever, and then you kind of go, so are we like a thing now, or what do we do? Right? It gets weird. Because if you're not thinking straight, and you're in an environment where that's going to be rewarded, guess what? You tend to go with it. And then finally this one. Am I thinking and acting out of worship or idolatry right now? Do you know why Tim Piazza's dead? Because everybody was taking care of themselves, including Tim. And it seems bad to like make him the bad guy or a bad guy in this. But at some point, Tim just went, I don't care. I want to be with these guys so badly that I will compromise everything that is true about me just so that I can win the approval of guys who eventually helped kill me. So you say it out loud, and I was like, well, that's dark. Yeah. And all the brothers who could have called 911, should have called 911? No, let me do a Google search real quick. Why? Because we don't want to get in trouble. We want to cover our tails. Other parts of this, why the frat house got busted so bad. They tried to edit surveillance films. They were wiping texts. They were, but then the feds got them, and they just cleaned them out. They're covering their tracks. So the issue is not that Piazza's dead. Are we going to be okay? That's why he's dead. So you got to think. Am I doing what I'm doing for the glory of God and good of others, or am I just taking care of number one? So if you are a Christian, I'm inviting you into thinking about worship. What does worship look like in my thinking? How does it affect the way that I think, the way that I respond? Are my thoughts being captive to Christ? Or am I trying to act good enough? I kind of put some Christian wrapping paper around it and calling it good? And really just kind of being in the flow? Because whatever direction the flow is going, we tend to go with it. So you got to do some hard thinking. Got to do some hard thinking as we go through this. Next month, there'll be part 2, and then the following month will be part 3, and all of them are going to take a look at just how our thinking is influenced and then how it manifests itself in our actions. So I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to pray. I'll give you lunch instructions in a moment, but I'm going to pray, and I'm going to pray for one thing. So let's pray. Father, give us courage. Courage to think honestly. Courage to confront our own struggles, our own idols. Please bring our thinking in line with who you are and in who you have created us to be. Lord, help us to live authentically and to encourage others to do so as well, that our thinking, rooted in who you are, would be freeing for those around us to do the same. But Lord, that's hard because we care so much about what other people think. We care so much about being important. Please remind us, Lord, that you have made us important. And that cannot be taken away, and that cannot be substituted for some other kind of earthly reward. Give us courage this week as we go forward. In your name, amen. All right, thank you, folks. Appreciate that. Hey, junior girls, I need some help with